The St. Louis Blues give a major update on one player in particular, which has fans raving. But not only that, we have one key veteran reaching a milestone, and the St. Louis Blues and Jim Montgomery have a huge opportunity to set the season right on this road trip. We have so much to break down on these players, what the opportunity is, and an update on Logan Mailloux. We have so much to break down, you're not going to miss it. But before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. If you're part of the 57.9%, you haven't hit the sub button yet, but you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the St. Louis Blues, make sure to go down and hit that free subscribe button, and we'll give you daily updates from all around the team. But with that, dears, let's dive straight into it today. And we know the St. Louis Blues are heading into Toronto tonight to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs to start their road trip. Now, the biggest thing is, the great news is, we know the Blues are better on the road this season. So going into this game, two teams that have been struggling mightily to start the season. What is your thoughts on this matchup? And do you think the Blues have a chance to set the season right on this run?
They definitely do, and I think that it starts tonight because when you look at the rest of the games on the road trip, in terms of the quality of competition and how other teams are feeling right now, the Leafs are not feeling very good. And if you look at like the Islanders, they're actually putting on some good performances. Obviously, what happened with the Flyers last Friday, the Rangers are not bad this year. Obviously, the Devils are doing what they're doing. Like you have some pretty tough opponents coming up on the road. So I think that you have an opportunity here against the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that is not feeling good at all. They're coming off of not even coming off of it. They're still on a 5-game losing streak right now. So you have a massive opportunity to set things right tonight. Now, the lines have been in the blender. If you look at the standings, these are two very equal teams in terms of what's happened so far this year. So this is going to be a very interesting game. That's for sure. One team's going to walk away feeling maybe a little bit better about themselves, and the other team is going to be feeling pretty devastated. So hopefully, the Blues can sneak out a win in this one for the confidence of most of the players on the team. But they're going to need big performances from the big guns tonight. They're going to need stellar goaltending as well. And the one thing with the Leafs that they've been able to do so far this year is finish. Other than that, they haven't really been able to do anything. They haven't been able to establish a forecheck. They're lost in the defensive zone. And of course, at times it looks like the Blues are too. But I think that if the Blues are able to establish some type of offensive game and pressure in this game, they'll be able to come out with the victory because the Leafs have not been able to weather that efficiently this year. And they've had if they can break the puck out, the Blues the Leafs will have no sustained pressure tonight. So we'll see how it all plays out. But it starts tonight, and you can really set the tone for the rest of the road trip.
And I think the biggest thing is, listen, the biggest storyline around this game is winning. And we're going to get an update on a player, but there is another storyline around this game tonight, Darius. And that is the fact that Justin Faulk is playing in his 1,000th game. I believe it was 413 players, including him, will reach this milestone in NHL history. So an insane feat. You can see the St. Louis Blues that they're going to honor him on November 29th when they do return home. This is awesome. Listen, Justin Faulk gets a lot of hate. A lot of the time is deserved. But this is a veteran on this team that has been around the NHL for quite some time with the Blues for a good stint. We see game 1,000 coming through. He's been a staple on that second pairing, and a lot of people would rather see him on the third. But the biggest thing is Faulk hasn't been having a bad season. We see the 10 points. Yes, the minus isn't great. But what is your thoughts on Faulk playing game 1,000? And do you think maybe the vibes are getting to an all-time? Maybe this is where the Blues get a win. They get the vibes up with the 1,000th game, and maybe this starts that run.
I think that it could possibly do that. I think a lot of players like to rally behind, milestones and stuff like this, and they'll all be amped for him. You kind of want to play, especially if you're, close as a team, which we know the Blues were, especially last year. You want to play for one another, right? So having a milestone like that, I do wonder if the team kind of rallies behind that. On the other side of things, this logo, by the way, because you see a bunch of 1K game logos around the league, with some puns and wordplay. This one's actually pretty good. So I know it has nothing to do with the on ice stuff, but I actually don't mind this one. It actually looks good and not out of place. So shout out to the Blues for that. But a great accomplishment for Justin Faulk. Obviously, only, I don't want to say a handful of players, but in terms of the history of the game, only a couple hundred have done this. So pretty incredible stuff. And we'll see if they're able to rally around him tonight.
And I think the biggest thing is, listen, looking at the lines, we see in the lines Jim Montgomery once again getting the blender going. He has a full stock of them, changing things up. We touched on it a bit yesterday. We see Dvorsky playing with Jen and Kyrou. We see Buch move down to the third line. Holloway up with Thomas and Snuggerud. I do like some of these lines. Listen, Buch had to be moved down. He has not been living up to the expectations of what we wanted to see from him this season. But Darius, looking at the lineup going through, once again, going into this game, is there a certain line that you think is going to stand out the most tonight that fans kind of have to keep an eye on going through the game?
Well, Mark, first of all, there's been some studies made in recent years about how, smoothies and stuff like that, when you take them in, you can't really digest them that well. So I think Jim Montgomery, especially this year, is keeping blenders in business, the entire industry. So the lines are very interesting. Once again, I mean, he's toying with a couple things that we saw, in practice yesterday. And obviously, if you look at the last game, the lines do look a little bit different. Buchnevich has been pushed down to the third line. And we talked about the other day how this could be a good opportunity for him to get going a little bit and find his game again, because you'll be playing against lesser competition. Like, you'll be playing and matched up ideally against other teams, third lines, fourth lines, depending on the matchup, stuff like that, and how the games go. But that could be a good opportunity for him to maybe, send a message to him, get him going a little bit that, hey, it's not good enough. You want to play with some good players again. Not saying that, the third line doesn't have good players, but if you want to play on the top line again, you have to get going here. So it could be a good opportunity for him. I'm looking for that first line to do some damage tonight. Like, honestly, Holloway has been, he scored a goal last game. He needs to get going. He needs to be a little bit better in terms of point production this year. Thomas is leading the way, so that's been good. And obviously Snuggerud has that shot. That line, we need a goal out of them tonight, right? So that's the thing I'm saying if I'm Jim Montgomery. So some interesting line combinations. And then on defense, obviously Kessel's back in the mix with Tucker. So that'll be interesting to see how that pairing does, because for the most part, the rest of the pairings, when you look up and down, I mean, you could put Fowler back with Parayko if you really want, but Broberg has been playing well. And even if you're just swapping those two guys, we know what we have in those two first pairings anyway. So we'll see how the third pairing plays. But the theme of the season has been goaltending as well. The goaltending needs to be good tonight.
And I think the big thing is, listen, this is a Blues team that has dealt with injuries, and we get an update coming on Jake Neighbours once again from Jim Montgomery, and this was kind of stemmed, looking at a comment of the day, it's a little weird, we switched it up a little bit, talking about Neighbours, you don't want him to come in too quickly, you don't want him back at 100%, but we get a quote from Jim Montgomery, the most Jim quote possible. We expect him to be a player at some point on the trip. So getting him back on this trip, he's not going to play tonight versus the Leafs, but the game versus the Flyers versus the Islanders, Darius, this is going to happen very soon within the next week. Do you think we see Snuggerud back within the next game where we see him play the Flyers, or do you rather push him back to the week after to give him more time?
Make sure he's 100%. I would agree, right? I think that you don't want to rush him back. There's no point. It's November still. Make sure he's 100%. But if he's ready to go, he said at some point this trip, that could mean Tuesday or next week, right? Like, we don't know. So I would think Saturday is a good landing spot. We know he's not going to play tonight. Maybe give him an extra day. And it also depends how today's game goes. If you really need him back in the lineup, I could see them making that choice. But make sure he's 100%. I could see Saturday. Again, I'm just speculating. I could see Saturday being the day, but maybe it's early next week as well.
And I think that's the big thing. Listen, getting Jake Neighbours back in this lineup is going to be huge. And speaking about a goal scorer, we do get a goal scorer coming today. That Logan Mailloux scored his second in the AHL. Now, listen, Springfield hasn't been the hottest team, but we're going to keep giving you little updates on Logan Mailloux as he progresses to get his confidence back. But fans, what is your thoughts on all this? What is your thoughts on Jake Neighbours? What game do you think we see him back? Is it versus the Flyers, the Islanders next week? Or do you rather them wait for the back-to-back in the homestand? Let us know all your thoughts down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care, Blues fans.